All right, it's always good to clean that thing out. I'm going to turn on the old shock vac, hit the pendant. That's the shock vac over there. And all we need to do is really clean this out a little bit here. Not all that critical whenever you're doing just cut out. If you're doing decarbon, that's really critical. I'll throw that down. Hit the pendant. By the way, the pendant's on breakaway, so I don't have to worry. You know, if it was to get caught up in something, the line will snap in half and fall over. I've been using the lanyard like this for a long time, and I used to have a secure ID at work. We carried them around like that with a breakaway and never had any trouble with them, you know, getting caught up. I do recommend that you consider that a factor, because that you get something wrapped around your neck and it's not breakaway, then it can very easily entangle you into, pull you into something you don't want to be pulled into. So anyway, so there we are there. We've got her down, and all I got to do is drop the cover here and hook that thing over that, drop the hood down, and turn on the vacuum again and press start. And there she'll go, take off again. Well, that's a lot of parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 oak, 1 pine. These are all my parts. I got twice as many of these parts that I need. I only really need 6 with handles, about 12 of them, 6 of those, and about 12 of those, and that would be enough for the project. But since I went ahead and did that, from past experience, like of the cedars, only got 2 that actually made it through the process. Of the pines, I'm sorry, of the pines. The oaks did pretty good. They did fairly well. These small parts ended up having to rough them out on the bandsaw. It was easier to just cut them on a bandsaw, and then I'll clean them up with on there. But anyway, yeah, they came out really nice. There's quite a bit of water in there when you go to looking how much water that thing will hold, and you know, because this is all hollowed out, and you got right at 1.5 inches plus 3/4, so you got 2 1/4 inches of that. So it's a little bit of water. Yeah, it will be handy. Probably keep you thirsty for an hour or so, or keep you dry or watered for an hour or so. Anyway, so there I am. I've got to cut some dowels and go to glue these up. All these surfaces have been smoothed up, and they're ready to put a 3/4 inch dowel, 1/4 inch dowel in those holes, and each one of them holes has another hole, and they line up. So there'll be 3/4, and the dowels go end to end, and then they line up, and that ought to do it. So let's just see what we got. All right, I make a dowel cutting jig. It cuts a 2 1/8 inch dowel. You just put your dowel in there and cut it off. What I'll do is I'll take the dowel and put it in a drill, run a sander on it. Just depends, because they're not all exactly the same, and sometimes they get kind of tight in your holes. And so what I'm doing now is I just cut a bunch of them 2 1/8 on that jig, and then I'm taking my kit. I'm getting ready to glue it up, and bring it over here, right here. So I'm getting ready to glue it up, and it has these alignment pins, and so you just take your dowel and put your glue down in there, go around it, put this in, and just keep putting it. Before I was using 3/4 inch dowels, so put in, it'd be sticking up 3/8. So I just got my overall measurement, and what I'm doing is I'm taking this. I've got just a little bit bigger bit than a 1/4 inch, so it makes the 2 center rings slide on there real easy. And these are just for alignment anyway, and then they're full of glue. So what I'll do is I'll just it's already drilled with a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is really tight. So if you put a 1/4 inch on there, they're really tight. But if you hit it with that little oversized 1/4 inch, then they slide down through there. So that's kind of what I'm doing there to make that a little bit different. And you go ahead and drill these 2 inner rings, and then put some glue on it. All right, so there's my cavity. I got my glue on there. Basically drilled these with the drill over there, just hand fed it in there, And the nice thing about this is, you know, the glue is already set up in the direction of the dowel, so you can't really put it on backwards. There's no front and back. And you put it down there and you get glue squeezed out all the way around it. And then go around this with another coat right there. I just generally start off with a drill. Give me a nice wet coat. And it's only, you know, it's only 3/4 of an inch or so. So as long as it's got some glue in there, it's going to be fine. Besides that, your beeswax fills any kind of a hole that you could ever think that you would ever have. And just put the ring on there. Set it on there. Give her another little bit of a touch. Go around here. And these dowels make this a whole lot easier. As far as, you know, putting it in there. They line up. And it just makes it easy. So let me go ahead and put this on top of that. I need 2 hands to do that. All right. Just slip that on top of it. Just sits there self-aligned, so everything stays pretty well straight that way. And then I'll put the spring clamps on it. And then put it up back out there where the sun's warm enough to not overcook it, but help it to dry. All right. I'll just take one of those 2 1/8 inch bit dowels. Stick it in the corner of that. Put some glue around it. Need to put a little extra glue around that sink and then tap that on. And let me get to that point. All right, got her started. I'll now take this on there and hit this with a rubber mallet. So that's tapping it down, and then I'll put some more glue and put the other one on. All right, 1, 2, 3. I need to make about 3 or 4 of these per deal and eliminate the just a little round plugs. So remind yourself to do that. Anyway, I got enough there for 6, 7 canteens. And so let's get on to the next step and finish gluing them up. I'll get back to this here in a little bit. The reason I didn't glue these on was because this needs to be round and tapered. And then this needs to be glued on with that little dowel fit on there. So we'll do that at the very last, just before we get ready for finish. All right, to get the saddle, I just basically took this up on the edge of that and drew a line. And that gave me the saddle for all these. So I just evened up on both ends and then drew the line and then cut them on the bandsaw. And I will say, this little bandsaw blade, I thought had really goofed up when I bought this, but this is a mini tube bandsaw blade. This is the handiest thing around the shop. As long as you don't try and overfeed it, it cuts about anything you want to cut. And of course, I got a big bandsaw across the room over here to, you know, cut timber and, you know, resawing logs and stuff. But that little blade is really something else. So there we go. Well, I've been out in the shop, had a lot of fun today. It's about 2 o'clock. Sun's getting ready to start coming in the garage. I think what I'll do is clean up and then go take it easy. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 canteens underway. So 6 times 8 clamps. That's 48 clamps there. And they're good. So need to clean up the CNC after it did all the cutting. This is half of the cuts from the all the little parts and the rings. So got a lot of dust here. Probably need to empty my bucket again today. I've emptied it this morning, but it'll probably need to be emptied with all of the shavings. So it's time to clean up the garage and get somewhere. All right, well, everything's gluing up out there. I'm putting these together. These are the collars that go down in the yokes, and they need to be sanded so that they'll fit down in that yoke. And so I'm gluing 3 together, and then I'll just put the glue in there, dipping them in there, and then dipping both ends of ingrain, glue them together. Ingrain, it's better off to put glue on both edges and let her tack just a little bit and then glue her together. So let's get back to it. About 6 or 8 of them up there, and I'm just gluing up. Well, after a little bit of work, things are coming together. They're glued up, and got 6 canteens here ready to go, and they're glued up in panels or blocks there. I'll need to sand them on the outside and get them sanded up, and then I'll route the edges of them, and then I'll drill a hole for this that'll go in there, and then these will all get sanded right here. They'll go down inside that collar, and then that'll get glued into the hole that's on that. And then these are the stoppers. They'll get sanded. They'll get put on a knob like this after it's all sanded around and beveled where it looks nice. And then that'll be the plug, and that'll go into as a stopper for the canteen. And that's my parts. So I ended up using the same size dowels for these things here. It gave me a little bit of they could have been just a hair longer, but they work fine. Yeah, so just basically clean up parts, do some drilling machining today, and get her done. So there we go. All right, this is these are basically how these go in. They have like maybe a 16th, 32nd, and sometimes even up to an 1/8 inch, where they're not lined up perfectly, even with the dowels on them and the cuts. They have some still. So once I get done sanding it on this 32 grit paper, it takes it all out of there. So I basically get them all around where they're, good smooth surface, and use an old quarter cable that's got a 32 grit paper on it, and it takes me probably about 3-4 minutes to sand it up. So let me go ahead and get her done. All right, that's the one I just got through sanding. Again, you're not using that 32 grit, you'll be just sanding forever. And basically I get any of the surface imperfections out of it. And trying to get it flat, I rotate it over and I'll sand it on this side going around like this, and then I'll flip it over, sand the back side. So that makes it pretty good deal. And then after I get done with the 32 grit, I'll jump over to 80 grit. And same kind of deal. Not too bad. Got some little imperfections. And we'll get that sanded up. Okay, go to sanded pine. The difference between this and this is this one here, the oak, is twice the weight of that. Of course, then again, you could drive your truck over it and you're never going to hurt it. You could probably use it as a weapon. Load it on a cannon or something, shoot it out. But anyway, this is a whole lot lighter. And, I mean, it's solid, don't get me wrong. But it sands up a whole lot easier than the oak, in about 1/3 of the time. So let me run that through there and get it. All right. Top of the table is right at knee level. And the top of the table here where I'm doing my canteen is right here at my waist height. So these hydraulic tables are really nice. You can crank them up, adjust them up where you want them to go. I will say these were Grizzlies. Harbor Freight sells them. Of course, I put their locks on them. But you want to put a board over the end of that thing, because man, when that thing gets you on your shin, it'll get you, and it'll leave you with a pedal of a different name on it. So anyway, that's something you want to address. Let me go ahead and change that belt and put a 80 grit on there. I will say you don't want to get these too hot. They have a capacitor inside here that can be replaced. I've had the capacitor go bad, and then I've also had the fan blower go bad, so I've taken it apart and just took the thing out of it. This one is a newer one. I gave my other one to my son before I realized I could fix it for about $6-8. Anyway, so he got a good sander out of it. They're a good sander. They're plenty powerful. Good tool, and I pull it out for these extended projects. Having the ability to raise it up and down is important. Probably the biggest chunk of my time is spent sanding over there on that one right there. But then again, it's a little higher than what this other one adjusts down to, so we're anyway. So I'll get it down to the 80 grit, give them a little finish sanding, and then move on to some other stuff. These little guys, I just push them down there and flat, just keep rotating them. With this piece here, will really rough. And after you get them sanded up, I'll show you when I get them sanded up. And around it, all I'm doing is put it down there at the bottom of that right there and rotate it. Alright, we take those parts, round that up a little bit, and then we take these little guys here, and this little guys here. Of course, that's sanded up. That fits down inside of this. And every now and then you have a blue spot or something in there, but that needs to be smoothly fit down inside there. That's your stopper in your throat. And then this is your throat support, and that needs to be able to slide over that, and it's sanded down to where it'll slide over the top of that thing and slide down in there like those are with my fingers. So you want that fairly tight, but not too tight. And then the knob goes on top of the dowel. That dowel needs to be trimmed off just a little bit because it's a little bit long. Anyway, that's what we're doing there. And let's get that one done. Move on to the next one. And then these will get a bevel, and that'll get a bevel. So let's get on to it. Alright, the fun part. I'm going to put a little edge around the corner of this thing. And I got my shop vac plugged in here. And it got a little router down there at the bottom. And then there's my router. And run ahead. Put a little chamfer on it. Alright, the dilemma was to get her done, get her fast, or what. So anyway, I wanted to get her done, so I used a spade tip. A little rougher, but it's all covered up. So anyway, it's working fine. It's just a little bit rougher than a Forstner bit. And there's the jig. Canteen's in there. It's wedged in. That's the jig for the 11-inch canteen, and then I just wedged it because the hole doesn't really matter that much. So as long as it's the same height. All right. I put my shark cutout deal on there. It just sits there. My shark's adjusted at the height. I just use some big old magnets to hold this piece of leather down. I'm gonna see if I can cut out some tabs, and we'll see how fast they go here. This is one of them times where if you don't have this venting outside, your eyes will be burning, you'll be coughing. I put this on there, when you burn leather, of course it smells like you're cutting human flesh. I turned the speed on this down to about 40%. And it's cutting it out now. It's not really burning it. I'm going to see if I can go a little bit faster than that maybe. But anyway, with that venting outside, you can't really even tell that it's burning that leather. Of course, you can see the smoke, and it's burning down, on top of your board. but it's going down through there, cutting them out nice and neat. And you know, that's 1 inch or 1/8 inch thick leather, so it's pretty thick. So anyway, that should have put holes in there. And now that I've got it just where it's cutting out there, and it's basically, you know, just going through and cutting the holes in there for that. So I think I'll pull one out and have a look at it. Alright, of course it's perfect. Nice and burnt on the edge. It's not really burnt on the top side of it. It's got a hole in there for the little brad nail. So there's my pattern and my other sheets. So pretty nice. Really nice. And I glued up 3 of the nipples on there, and I didn't need them, only needed 2. So I'm really basically just taking this, running against this guide. Cutting them off so they'll be shorter, better looking deal. All right, pulled all the magnets off of there. I had set my speed at 45% on the Shark, and I think my other speed was 24 by 100. So I'm going to change that setting to 12 by 100 and see if that gets better. All right, I'll put a clear coat on them tomorrow. Get the straps run through there, get the straps on there, and you go get me some leather to put on them. And then I'll probably laser them. So put something on there with some lasering on them. Cut out a whole bunch of those leather things, straps. That worked out good on the CNC. Got to go adjust my database for a little bit, and also adjust my file, my thumb drives. Keep the master file straight. I'll get that done. It's amazing what you can do with that little thing. All right, so there we go. Time to go in. Dark outside. I have.